Hank James.
Hank Junior?
Hank James. Oh,
Hank J.
Hank James.
I know.
Exciting.
It's James of running in, are you, you're a James?
No, I'm a Jeff John. Yeah, it was a James, brothers of James. They like James.
Those old names are coming back.
I thought maybe you were Jesse James.
No, they do. That could have been maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm reincarnated.
What was it? Jenny? You'd said Jenny's. Meeting contract for you.
Jenny, yeah, she just drives it up.
I mean, once you get them done, then it'll be done. But
She's on board with us.
I guess her and Dan,
sign the contract.
and Dan thinks that they can get the.
How are you doing?
And they're meeting today.
And Dan is
He's from, no, Dan is from, he's not on the same board, but he's from Mille Lacs.
Because it didn't sound like Canadian.
Yes.
I heard on the radio.
That's actually good.
It sounded like Canadian.
Well, they're getting all the money. So,
And like I had said in that meeting, I go, because Teresa said that. That they were gonna discount. Sign Helen's thing. It's like we were.
Luckily, didn't send me last year, the year before.
The minutes from last year say that we had.
Well, I said, I don't think I needed to. Just because they're. So I was trying to kind of play a little bit of.
yeah,
Or not devil's advocate, but like, if it takes more, I'm guessing there'll be more than that, to get the audit done and that's but whatever's right, it's right, but.
Okay,
Get it over.
it is 10 o'clock. Just a reminder to everybody that the meeting is being live streamed. And so if you have something to say, please come up to the microphone. And with that, we'll call the meeting to order and rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everybody. Public forum. Does anybody wish to speak at public forum?
Not sure if this is when and where I would do this, but
Yeah.
I, Bobby Butler, would like to request a copy of all emails, texts, information regarding the tax forfeited property on Sturgeon Lake. I would also like to make it to include any and all information regarding conversations between any people that were involved in this. And I would also like any information on properties that were wrongly sold in the past 5 years. And who do I give this to?
David.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? If not, we'll move on to the agenda. We have some changes, additions, corrections.
Mr. Chair, if we could add consent agenda item number 7C. This is an agreement with the Central Minnesota Jobs and Training Services to provide Minnesota Family Investment and Diversionary Work Program. This is similar to the same agreements we've had in the past with them. And if we could add consent agenda item number 7D, this is with the East Central Solid Waste Commission for a waste delivery agreement. And then we have additional information for regular agenda item number 5. We have the proposed labor agreements with the Health and Human Services Unit and the Road and Bridge Technicians Unit. And then on regular agenda item number 6, Commissioner Waldham requested that we have a discussion of the a state surplus, and I thought that would be appropriate to put with the budget discussion, if that's all right with Commissioner Waldham.
Yes.
Anything else?
I'll make a motion to approve the revised agenda.
I'll second.
Motion by Lovegren, second by Ludwig. Any discussion?
Yeah, I got a question, Mr.
Yeah.
Chair. As far as the consent agenda goes, I understand things can be moved up the consent agenda and into the regular agenda.
Yep.
So it has to do with back on the 21st, I corrected a pay grade and a wage error. And then on the 7th, for the new position replacing Caleb, that was moved into the consent agenda. So for looking at the wages and pay grades of that, it was moved into the consent agenda, so it was just approved, like approving a gas bill or a electric bill. And I guess a couple things here. Would this be the place where I make a motion for reconsideration on the hiring of the new land manager Calebsville position? Or would I just discuss what I feel is evident as an error here and how that went? What would you like me to do? I guess I'd just like to say that on November 13th, on the minutes of the Personnel Committee, it was announced resignation of the Land and Resources Manager effective December 1st. And then on the second item, right after that, there was a request to approve and regrade the Land and Resource Manager position from a grade 13 to a 14 to reflect increases in job complexity and responsibilities. That minimum starting wage for a grade 13 was $31.12. And then the minimum starting wage for a grade 14 is $33 an hour. Said the regrade was reviewed through the Springfield Class and Compensation System. Okay, so then it got moved into, usually I've always seen historically any kind of hires, and this was in the regular agenda, because that's where I had an opportunity to find that error last time, and we corrected it through the help of HR. But then from November 13th, December 7th, the commissioner must have made a recommendation to move into the regular agenda, from the regular agenda to the consent agenda, where again, it seems like it just got voted on like a gas bill or an electric bill. And then the wage then moved from a 13, in essence, from a 13 to a 14, but a starting wage of $34.33 an hour. $1.33 more than what was approved in the personnel minutes back on November 13th. And I guess then also, so that's one thing. So do I make a motion for reconsideration and then would it be as simple as a do-over, or how do we do that? Then the second thing on the request to raise the pay grade because of the increases in job complexity and responsibilities, it says also requested approval for an updated job description. Well, again, we had no discussion on a job description that I recall, and I cannot find it in any minutes. And on the November 13th minutes of the Personnel Committee, I see there's what I would call a draft. Seen these before, where there's new wording put in. Now you're including shorelands and floodplain. I could go through the whole thing. It goes through reconsideration and we do this over, we can look at it later, but there is quite a few changes. But then I noticed when you compare it on the same document here, which is minutes, and also I pointed out an error before, that minutes are the legal binding document, correct? Minutes have to be documented, and that is the actual not the vote, but the recording of the minutes is what's legal, correct? We went over that last time. But on this other job description, manager, solid waste manager, it says on the bottom, board approved 7/18 of 2017. So that tells me that there has to be action on that. So I guess what I'm asking too is did we approve a job and hire a job for a higher wage that we don't have a board approved job description for yet? Or am I missing something?
Well, can I take a stab at that?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so the typical process. When it comes before the personnel committee, it's just, we get the information in committee. So we knew Caleb was leaving. I can't remember the exact dates, I don't know, but the first process, so then we're gonna authorize a replacement, you know, we always do. And if somebody moves from within, it's a backfill along with it. So that process was explained when Josh or I don't remember who reported on personnel committee. So that means Caleb leaving and we recommend to the board when we did that. So then usually when we do one of us, Josh or I, or whoever's on that committee, we'll go through what we did. And then we'll make a recommendation to the board. And then I'll say, I'll move those things. I'll make a motion to approve these. And then we do the process. So then that means the board approves it. The study came. The wage thing came, I think, was when if we're gonna go out and hire, we should review the job description when you do a RFP to put it out there. And I think in the process, they just decided that we'll go through that and we'll adjust this wage to what the work entails. So we can get the people to apply for it. But they went through the safe system that we have in the county. A commissioner did not sit on that. But then they come back with this recommendation of the movement in the salary. So that was also approved through personnel or recommended. We don't approve it. We say, okay, we'll bring it to the board. We'll bring it to the board and it gets voted on. That's the time where if the commissioner wants to object and have a discussion, that's where that happens.
Except if it's
So then
put in
so if it passes, it comes to, if there's an error in the wage, we discussed that in personnel last meeting. And the errors can happen. There's safe catches in the system that wage wouldn't have been applied because it isn't in the system. Someone just did a typo on that. Or what? That is, I don't know, but that's the way it was explained to me.
right, but where you
Okay.
say it's open for discussion, that's in the regular agenda, not the consent agenda. This was put in the consent agenda and that eliminates
But see,
discussion, the last line of,
but that action that happens.
yeah.
When we do the personnel committee, it's the month before that, or the meeting before that. So we say this, so then it passes that it's gonna happen. When we say, yes, we approve this for them to go forward and hire, it happens. So then when it comes back through consent, we say we approve a person that goes into that position. Will come through in consent because it was in front of us in personnel. That's the way I understand that. So I don't know, if you want to jump in, just
Chair. Yep, and that is where if it's in the consent agenda, just like anything, and this is what we learned when we went to our first commissioner training. That's when you can pull it off the consent agenda, put it on the regular agenda, and then go from there. Just like today, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 new hires on the consent agenda. It's like we've done in the past. There's no funny business, fishy, nothing. So.
yeah, if you look at the front of your agenda today.
So who requested it? This one for replacing Caleb, who requested it to be put on the consent agenda?
That happens automatically. That's what I'm saying. The approval, the meeting before, for him to be replaced and someone to be hired. So then when if someone does get hired in between there and the next board meeting, it'll be put on consent because we already addressed it.
Okay, it just says any commissioner may request it. I was just wondering. If
Yeah, so then if the commissioner on the front of your agenda says if we want to pull it off, it's on every one of our agendas at the top before we start. If you want to pull something from consent, you pull it all, we put it on regular.
Okay, because then the other thing is then, because right now there's something that I see is gonna really trip us up. Right now, we're adding to this job description, manages the Wetland Conservation Act implementation. Well, from what I understand, there's a lot more to that. If it was as simple as just one person managing the Wetland Conservation Act, I myself had a wetland violation. There's agencies like the DNR, BWSR, Soil and Water, Army Corps. I see nothing in this job description. So is this job description already approved, I guess? That's what I'm asking. Has it been approved? And can we hire somebody if it wasn't approved? They're like, I don't know when it was approved. Sorry. Because usually it's documented here, board approved on the other one. It just isn't on this one.
The job description was approved at the same time with the original.
Okay, then it doesn't reflect anywhere that I see. I can't find it. It just says quite simply that was recommended.
The board approved it. The meeting can't.
Yep, committee makes recommendations and the board approves. I don't see where it was.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah, go ahead.
I think Commissioner Waldheim, you're looking at the copy that was in the packet from November. So that would have been the meeting where it was approved. And so subsequent copies will be updated to indicate the date it was approved.
Okay, it just says also requested approval for an updated job description. It's not documented. This where I caught before, you had minutes that didn't reflect an actual vote. So I guess back to, is it going to be something as simple as, like I said, there's a lot to go through. So what was it? It's an official approved job description documented in the minutes, making it legal. It is. Okay, I'd like to see that at some point. I guess I'll still go forward with my motion for reconsideration on this position. So hold it for a second.
When we get to the consent agenda.
Yep.
We can pull that off the consent agenda. Right now, we're looking at the main agenda.
It's not on this meeting's consent agenda. It was last meeting.
Okay,
Yeah.
So it's already gone through it's already been approved and.
yeah,
And I just want to say, JJ, that when it was put on the agenda, David, when he added it to the consent agenda, because it was an addition,
Mhm.
it was very thoroughly laid out what was going to be on there. And that would have been the time that you would have said, wait a minute.
Okay, so right now I can't make a motion for reconsideration since it was just the previous meeting. I can't do that.
I think it was already voted on by the board.
I suppose you could make a motion to rescind.
Right.
That's my understanding.
The hire, couldn't he?
I'm sorry?
He could make a motion to rescind the hire.
Yeah, I guess
I'm-
I can't speak as a parliamentarian. Right? I think a motion to rescind the hire, were it to pass, would not be sufficient to terminate the employment of a person who has been hired. I think the law would require an affirmative termination, not just revoking a previous action.
And Reese is shaking his head yes too.
Yeah, I'm just looking for, like I said, clarification for, we have one pay grade at one price. We have now another pay grade at another price. A job description to me that just, like I said, lines scribbled through things, adding things, managing Wetland Conservation Act. And I just know there's way more to it. The DNR and BWSR, and there's several more. So I just thought, maybe we take a step back, whether it be a motion to rescind, motion for reconsideration, that this is the time to do it.
So can I
Well, I
say,
think
another
The
person?
time to do it would have been when we was in front of us, and if you would have read that, then it would have been the time to do that.
But I believe this motion for reconsideration gives an opportunity to travel back to cover that missed opportunity. I missed the opportunity.
So, Mr. Chair,
Yep.
so if we start doing that, are we gonna go back to board meetings from years ago and then reconsider hiring whoever we hired or whatever we did? I think that's just not good practice and not good board policy.
Yeah, and I agree, and that's why, from what I understand,
Harry said the time to do it would have been when it was on the consent agenda, when it was added. We went through it. You didn't agree with it. If you had more discussion about it then, perfect timing. We went through, we voted on it. Let's move on.
Can I ask a quick question? I think it might clarify what JJ's thinking, I hope.
Yeah.
So when you guys are in the personnel committee and you were looking at the job description for this position and you realized what Caleb was doing versus what the actual job description was, from my experience working for the county, that's when the changes got made and that's when it was brought to the committee to say we need to review this. Is that what actually happened or did?
Yes.
Yes.
well, I can agree with Josh. But I actually strongly believe this is the time to do it using the motion for reconsideration. It has to be done at the meeting after something, was missed, which I missed it.
Oh, we did it, yes.
So I think this is actually the proper time to do this. Goes to the floor, you ask for a second, you get a second, and we vote. Maybe it won't get a second. I don't know, but I think this is the time to do it. Pretty clear. Could be wrong. I mean, everybody makes mistakes.
You're asking to reconsider the job description.
Well, everything, the job description, the wage, whether the job description, I don't see it documented that it was approved and dated like others.
We printed it off of the last meeting though, and it hadn't.
No, this is
Yeah.
what was given to me. I didn't print anything. I just think this is the time to do it. I believe this is the meeting to have a motion for reconsideration. That's why you can't go back 5 years ago for positions or other jobs. That you have to do it after that, immediately after the following meeting.
So, Mr. Chair?
Yes,
Is just to refresh my memory, we are at adopt agenda
yes,
and a motion has been made to adopt the agenda as amended
yep,
and it has or has not been seconded.
it has been seconded.
Okay, so I think if a commissioner wanted to make a motion to amend that, to add a motion to reconsider, that could be done and voted on, and then you could vote on the main motion if that seems a reasonable process.
Yes, it does. So at this point, if you want to make a motion to reconsider, we would consider that motion.
Yeah, like I discussed, the job description, the pay raise, and moving it into a consent agenda. Yeah, reconsider it. We can discuss it more.
AJ makes a motion to reconsider.
And Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Just, so that would be a motion to amend.
Amend the motion
adopting the
to
agenda,
adopt the
add
agenda.
Reconsideration of that action, right?
Yes. That's. Is there a second to that motion? Is there a second to that motion? Do I hear a second to that motion? I hear none, so that amendment dies for a lack of a second. We'll go back to the original motion to adopt the agenda as amended. And that's been seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We'll move on to the approval of the minutes of the December 2023 County Board Minutes. Summary for publication.
I'll move the minutes.
A second them.
And pardon me here, also includes the December 7th Truth and Taxation minutes.
Mentor,
Yes, yeah, that's fine, man.
a second.
Or Ludwig and Lundgren?
Yeah.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And then the reports and correspondence, Pine County Zoning Board minutes of October 26, 2023.
Ludwig will move. Second.
Motion by Ludwig, seconded by Moore. Any discussion? Not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? For approval of the consent agenda, you've had that in front of you for several days.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
I'll second the consent agenda.
Motion by Lundgren, seconded by Moore. Any discussion? Question? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Move on to the regular agenda. First up is the Personnel Committee report. Minutes are attached.
You want to do it, Matt, or you want me to? Me do it? Go ahead. All right, so we did have a meeting on December 11th, and we made the following recommendations. Health and Human Services acknowledge the resignation of eligibility worker Katie Sawyer effective December 5th, 2022, and request to backfill the position and any subsequent vacancies that may occur due to internal promotion or lateral. And then I'll just do all these.
Yeah.
In the sheriff's office, dispatch acknowledged the resignation of part-time probationary dispatcher Riley Sampson effective November 10th, 2023. Request to backfill the position, any subsequent vacancies that may occur due to internal promotion or lateral transfer. And acknowledge the resignation of part-time probationary dispatcher Alicia Jeffrey effective November 30th, 2023, and request to backfill the position. Any subsequent vacancies that may occur due to internal promotion or lateral transfer. And I will move all three of them.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? New hire?
And Mr. Chair, this is on the regular agenda because it was just approved for a backfill by the Personnel Committee. And so until it's approved, we can't put it on the consent agenda, but we do have a candidate for that position as proposed.
I'll make a motion to approve Jenna Lee Chamberlain's appointment.
I'll second.
Motion by Lovegren, seconded by Moore. Any discussion? Not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Moves us to the introduction of our land and resource manager. Kelly, you want to do that?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. So I just wanted to bring Mike to introduce to the board. So this is Mike Gaynor. Mike started as the land and resources manager just yesterday. So here's day 2. Mike comes to us with a bachelor's degree from the University of Minnesota. He has worked the last 2 years for the city of Pine City as the community development director, which did include zoning type duties. Prior to that, Mike has really established himself as a community member. He's the editor of the Pine City Pioneer for a number of years prior to working for the city. And he served on lots of different boards in the area, including the Central Energy Board of Directors, which was an elected position. And the Pine Tech Foundation Board of Directors, Pine City Area Chamber of Board Directors. And so he's very involved in the community, and we are glad to have him. He seems like he is going to be able to create the relationships within all of those organizations that we work, from the DNR to Bowser to the Army Corps of Engineers to the townships and cities. And so I'm very excited to have him.
Welcome, Mike.
Very excited to see you. It was really nice to be part of the team and to join the county, and I'm going to work very, very hard for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Pine County Personnel Board of Appeals appointment. 3-year term. Who's on that?
On the board currently is Connie Mickret. And she was the former, I'm drawing a blank on her name, Cambridge City Administrator, interim Pine City Administrator.
I can see her.
Linda.
Linda Wolf.
Thank you.
And so are these two people?
The terms are ordinarily for 3 years. The board has not been in existence for 3 years. So initially there was a 1 year, a 2 year and a 3 year. And so Amy's appointment was for the 2-year initial term, and now it would be a 3-year to be a regular term.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
This was, we had to form this to get off of that.
The merit
The
system.
merit system. That's, now it's all coming back to me. Thank you.
And they have never met, right?
They are scheduled to meet this month. I don't know the date.
Okay. I'll move, or did somebody?
Nope.
No.
I'll move Amy Cruz to the Personnel Board of Appeals. Reappointment, sorry.
Second.
Motion by Moore, seconded by Lovegren. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Yep.
How did they get appointed? I mean, how did that happen?
How did that happen? When we moved off the merit system and have our own, then we had to form our own Board of Appeals. And so we picked some managers. Amy had been the HR director at Pine Tech. And Connie used to be Pine County's HR manager, and Linda Wolf has a lifetime of experience in administration, and we picked those people were nominated and appointed to this board.
All right, thank you.
Yep. Any other questions? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Labor agreement.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, we have agreements that have been ratified by all of the bargaining unit or the 4 additional bargaining units, Health and Human Services, legal assistants, road and bridge technicians, and road and bridge supervisors. And so they are ready for your consideration.
I'll move that.
I'll second.
Motion by Ludwig, seconded by Moore. Any discussion on this?
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
Just a comment, I think this seals up everything we have outstanding. We have one contract that they're potentially switching unions or are switching or.
They notified us that they canceled their last negotiation. We've heard that they're considering other potential representation. So,
But this shores up everything we had.
Yes.
That we've negotiated, so.
And so that leaves one.
yeah, and that's the sheriff's administrative staff.
And that's on that group because of us.
Yeah.
So,
Yep,
Thank you for what you've done.
good work.
It's not easy.
No,
so me and Matt are gonna have to talk to each other once a week just to make sure we're still alive. Otherwise, we spent a lot of time together the last couple months.
all in favor?
Good.
Discussion, yeah,
Yep.
Mr. Chair.
Yep.
These labor agreements, so these are wage increases, correct?
Right.
Okay. I got that back.
These are the contracts that we negotiated through bargaining.
And they include a wage increase.
It was 2-year, 3-year contracts for.
Sure. Yeah, I was jumping ahead, looking at 8. They're actually listed on 8. They weren't listed on this as on number 5.
No, each one of these, like got their own contracts, the 8.
Yeah, 8's got the actual percentages, but on this one, they chose not to.
Eight is a non-union.
Right, but there's wage percent increases. I was just curious as to
Right, so these
why
are,
it wasn't just put here.
oh, why they were together,
Well,
because some of them are different.
I
They're all
understand that.
individual contracts.
Yeah,
And the contracts are out there. You can get the contracts if you want. I think one of
Yeah,
them.
they're in there. Just on this,
In the packet.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, members of the board, if you look at the agenda request, towards the bottom of the page, it clarifies the wages for the four units in 2024. It's an effective 6% total increase that's divided as a 3.25% COLA and a 2.75% market. In 2025, it's a 5% cost of living adjustment. And in 2026, with the one unit that we have a 3-year contract with, it's a 3%. And so overall, with these units, with the 8 that we have ratified agreements with, 7 of them, those wages are exactly the same. One of them, the deputies, we did a market adjustment in addition to those, and that was discussed at the meeting room.
Any other questions?
I'd like to amend the motion.
Okay,
It appears we give $112,936 extra to the library when we only have a mandate of $256,664. So I'd like to amend it that we decrease the amount we give the library just to the state statute minimum. And we use this $112,936 to offset this wage increase.
okay, we've heard an amendment. JJ, is there a second to that amendment? Is there a second to that amendment? One more time, is there a second to that amendment?
Can I add something again, Mr. Chair? There's actually no loss here because the library was given $200,000 of tax dollars already from the surplus.
To cover many libraries.
They already got money coming in, and we don't have to give this full amount.
So on that money that they got from the state surplus, that was included in their budget. So their budget was actually reduced by that $200,000 over all of the libraries. So that was taken into consideration, kind of the same with the money that we've got coming from the state, that was taken into consideration with our budgeting too.
I did not hear a second for that amendment to the motion. So we're back to the original motion made by Ludwig, seconded by Moore. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
Then we asked two things there, Dave.
No, well, there was additional information.
Okay.
So that was just
Okay.
the 2 additional contracts.
All right. Pine County, property tax levy and budget. Consider the approval to set the levy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. So we have had numerous meetings on the budget and levy since August. And so today we bring before you the final budget, which includes revenues of $55,792,208 and expenditures of $55,768,046. And so you have a resolution before you, 2023-61, approving that budget. And then you also have the resolution 2023-60, which is for the 2024 property tax levy of $22,123,145. Let me know if you have questions about those things, but I think we've really covered them between all of our meetings. November 21st, we had kind of the recap of where we are now. And then December 7th, we had our truth and taxation meeting.
And we started off in August.
Right.
So we're looking for a motion for resolution 2023-60.
I'll move that. Ludwig. You want the number
The resolution number,
or the dollar amount?
the levy is 22,123,145.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Ludwig, seconded by Moore. For discussion now, I believe JJ had some items.
Yeah, this is where it ties into the, again, and I'll offer to amend this motion, lower this levy amount by $112,936, because that's the extra money we give to the library that we are not required to, because that's the state statute has a minimum amount. We're giving them that much extra, so that's why I requested that information from David, if anyone wants to look at it, but it'd be just as simple to move things along that I offer an amended motion to lower the tax levy by $112,936 using the extra we give the library.
JJ makes a motion, lower the levy by that stated amount. We have a second. I'll ask again, do we have a second? And one more time, I'll ask for a second to that amendment, motion. I hear none. We have any other discussion?
I got one.
Yep.
So with all the meetings about our tax levy and starting back in August. Just a comment, that would be the time to maybe bring that up, not here when we're voting.
I have.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor of motion 2023-60, which sets our property tax levy at $22,123,145, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I oppose.
All right. Motion carries. And we'll move on to the county sheriff and
No, we got.
We gotta do.
Wait.
B.
the
Mr. Chair, this is resolution 2023-61, adopting the 2024 Pine County budget as shown on the attached information.
I'll make a motion to accept resolution 2023-61 for the 2024 budget.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Lovegren, seconded by Ludwig, to adopt resolution 2023-61, setting our county budget as shown on the attached budget sheet. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Now we'll do the county sheriff and county attorney salaries. Thank you.
So are we doing these separate or together? Separate?
Your choice.
Okay, I. Assume together?
I think we can do them together.
Okay,
Come together.
so I would just like to consider the 2024 salary for County Attorney Reese Frederickson. The Personnel Committee recommended $154,535 effective January 1, 2024, which is a 6% increase. And with that, I would also consider the 2024 salary for the County Sheriff Jeff Nelson. The Personnel Committee has recommended $140,466 effective January 1, 2024, which is a 6% increase. And we did have a discussion at the Personnel Committee with both Reese and Jeff about their job duties, responsibilities, and comparable wage data. And that is where we came up with that numbers. And I will make a recommendation to approve them.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Moore, seconded by Ludwig. Any discussion?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to amend the motion,
Yep,
the previous ones, to offset these costs of wage increases. Motion to lower the amount we give the library by $112,936. Because we give the library $369,600. And the state statute only requires we give them $256,664. The savings we could use to pay these increases in wages.
got a motion by JJ. We're looking for a second to amend a motion for the sheriff and county attorney. We have a second. Call a couple more times. Do we hear a second for that motion? Ask one more time. Do we have a second to that motion? Hearing none. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed due to the lack of my second on my motion.
Motion carries, and we'll move on to item number 8. 2024 non-union, non-elected wage adjustments.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, this adjustment would simply mirror what has been agreed to with the 9 bargaining units that have settled contracts for a 2024 increase for non-union, non-elected staff.
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Motion by Ludwig, seconded by Lovegren. Any discussion?
I do, Mr. Chair. I'd like to amend the motion.
Yep.
Just like the other ones, give another opportunity to offset these costs. That we lower the amount we give the library by $112,936, because we give the library $369,600, and we're only obligated to give the library $256,664. So my motion would be to lower what we give this library, again, like the other previous motions, same thing.
Is there a second to that motion? Do I hear a second to that motion? Do I hear a second to that motion? I hear none. Back to the original motion. Any more discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Yeah, I oppose. Same reason.
County commissioner compensation for or county commissioners compensation per diems and mileage.
And
That
Mr.
is-
Chair, I
Yep.
just note that these amounts are unchanged from 2023. And then the IRS, it's the mileage rate, the resolution sets the mileage rate at the IRS rate for 2024.
I'll move it.
Second.
Motion by Ludwig. Seconded by Moore. Any discussion?
I do have one.
Yep.
I think last year we did what, a 2% or 3? Something like that. Sorry to put you on the spot, but I think that was the first time we did do anything in like 8 years or something.
It was the first time we had a wage increase since 2007.
And I think it amounted to what, $400 or something.
Yeah.
So.
Any more discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Snake River Watershed Plan Partnership Fiscal and Legal Services Agreement.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, the Snake River Watershed Plan Partnership is moving forward. They have formally received their grant from the Board of Water and Soil Resources. And so rather than directly hiring staff, they are contracting with participating entities for various services. And so we are proposing that Pine County would be the fiscal agent, and also the Pine County attorney would provide legal services. And these are at a reimbursement rate that follows the Bowser reimbursement schedule. And it does adequately compensate the county for the effort.
I just want to say one thing. I think that's it, as we're in 4 different one watershed, one plans. I think we've all kind of taken our turns of somebody being the fiscal agent, somebody being the legal responsible party. So I think it's our turn. It's a big watershed for Pine County. So thank you.
And I'd like to say that it's being split up. So Aiken's got some responsibilities, Mille Lacs, they like the website and that type of stuff. And of course, Knavic, they're the ones that have the staff that keep it going. So I mean, it's really nice the way they looked at this and set it up so that it's all the counties are staying involved in it. So I'll make a motion for the Snake River Watershed Plan Partnership Fiscal and Legal Service Agreements.
I'll second.
Motion by Lovegren, seconded by Moore. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? January 2nd, 2024 is our organizational meeting.
And Mr. Chair,
Yep.
statute requires we meet on that day in the county seat. This is just to confirm the time with everyone, that the time would be 10 a.m. as usual.
Do not have to vote on that. That is set in statute.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
is there and David, address this to you, is there a Zoom option for that if you're out of town?
There can be, there's 13D point
Yep.
whatever has that process. And so as long as we know the location, that we know it in time to post it with the agenda, and the location is from a place that's accessible to the public. And as a board member, you participate, you have to be able to be seen and heard during the meeting. And we can technologically do all of those as long as wherever you're calling in from has that adequate connection.
Okay, I'll provide you with just following what we've done before with both Commissioner Allen and myself, and I think Matt's even utilized. I think you did too, even from Colorado. You were out of town, not for this meeting, but for other.
I was at a NACO conference.
Yeah, I'll give you the address, David, and then just so I covered on that. Thank you.
Commissioner updates. The holiday tree event. The courthouse potluck. I want to thank everybody that made that happen. I especially want to thank Cassandra Olson who
Yes.
provided that wonderful music. She is a wonderful lady. That was awesome. So thanks everybody.
Well, for the people that put together the tree and decorated it and had everything ready for it too. It was very nice. Looks great. I love the 4-H ribbons decoration.
Right.
Too.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Central Minnesota Jobs and Training.
It was an interesting meeting. We discussed some of the administrative, personnel, and financial concerns that some people had. So we'll be talking some more about that in our January meeting. And we talked a lot about what the staff has been doing for the clients and the residents of the 11 counties that are involved. They do some pretty amazing work there.
Let's see. The Central Solid Waste Commission. It's the time of year when we have to sign contracts with haulers. Pine County, and if you're a hauler, you get a $14 a ton rebate. So Pine County has participated as a hauler, but suddenly the commission didn't recognize the fact that we weren't really a hauler. we're more of a collector and they didn't want to give us the $14 rebate, which kind of raised the hackles on the back of my neck. And thanks to Kelly and Reese, they rewrote the contract to reflect what we are. We sent it back and forth and got it approved, so we approved it at our today on our consent agenda. So thank you very much for working with that.
Mr. Chair.
Yep.
Do the other counties get a rebate?
No, because no other county has what we have going. And that was my point. The people in Cambridge, East Central Solid Waste Commission is hauling their garbage that people like self-haul.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you should just send a truck over and pick our stuff up.
Mm-hmm.
No. Then give us a rebate for crying out loud. So it worked out. East Central Regional Library.
Sandstone had the grand opening. If you haven't been in their library, they're just down the street. I would suggest going to look at it because it's absolutely beautiful and the city spent a lot of money to get that up and open and running. And they did a beautiful job. Chisago Lakes is going to be the one library so far that is going to be a naloxone access point. And then Mora was giving, or they're looking at getting a sizable donation from somebody in memory of somebody for the city of Mora to do some updating to their library. So.
Chair,
Yep.
Mr. Chair, what would happen if Pine County, being a member of the library thing, if we did a reduction
Mhm.
and the dollars, what would impact would that have on our county libraries?
We would be closing at least one, possibly two. So for the people that utilize that library, it would be horrible because they wouldn't have it anymore.
So, and then when do you set that budget? You guys already did, so you assumed those dollars were coming at them, I'm guessing that.
Say that again.
So that they have a budget.
Yes.
So when you already set your budget over there?
Yep, we do that in July
Yes.
and then it's approved in August.
So you were counting on the funding that, assuming it was gonna come.
Yep, that was accounted for. Mhm. But you got to think too, that covers how many different libraries? That 200,000 doesn't just go to Pine County, it goes to every county and every librry.
And Mr.
Thank
Chair,
you.
Yeah.
I just didn't know what would happen.
Yeah, we would be closing libraries.
the cities contribute quite a bit too. Like
Yes.
all the cities that they're in, they do
Yes.
contribute. When I was on the board, we did close, I think it was Isle or something like that. Or they really reduce, a lot of libraries ain't open every day and they'll just reduce hours and do a lot of stuff like that too. So there's plenty of area to have discussion on that. You know?
So and then I still think that I heard last year, during COVID, that most of the people going to the library here were accessing the computer system because they don't have services, because it's not all.
Right.
A lot of the students were using, is that still happening?
A lot, yes.
So they have numbers on that?
They do, and well, kind of, and I can get some numbers for you on that.
It'd be interesting.
Yeah, actually, we can have Carla come and do a presentation to the board. Would you like to have her put on the agenda? She'd be willing to do that.
Yeah.
It might help us.
I'll do that. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's been a
So
while.
last 2 years ago, Mille Lacs County didn't, because of their lawsuit, they didn't have the money. So they cut back their funds and it closed one of their libraries for the year. And they said that it was not a fun experience, that there's, not a lot of usage in the one that they ended up closing because they didn't cut it back that much. But their phones were crazy busy because those people loved the library. So because the amount hasn't, from the state statute, that hasn't increased in 20 years, we know what costs, 6% here in Pine County just for 1 year. We know what the increases have been in salaries. And then you've also got the increases to buy the books and the computer systems and the technology that you need, the hotspots, all of that kind of fun stuff. The hotspots, a lot of that they get grants for, they actually get quite a few grants. So, yeah. And it's the county commissioners that are on the budget board that do it in July and it's in August.
So, yeah, I just didn't remember.
Mhm.
Because I remember 4 or 5 years ago, we talked about the same thing and the impact was explained.
Yeah. I'll reach out to Carla and I'll have her set it up with Dave to come and join us.
Yep. Towards zero death. I'll take that one.
Yes, okay.
I thought it was a great meeting, a great turnout. It turns out the coordinator for Northeast Minnesota lives in Pine County. She's married to Mark Geisler. They operate a huge farm. And so she's very familiar with county roads and township roads and freeways. So, we're really trying to make Pine County a safer place through this zero death program.
How does that work then? If we're doing a road project, we would apply some different rules and they help fund the stuff if there's a change or what?
They do help get funding, especially for safe routes to schools, crosswalks, widened shoulders, things like that.
This year they got that big grant and they put new cameras on a lot of the buses. I know Hinkley just got new cameras on their buses so they can, if you run a stop arm, they can see your face, they can get your license plate number, they can tell everything about it so that they can give you the ticket, which is not cheap. So that's one of the projects that they just did.
Speed is a huge item.
Running stop signs.
Yeah, running stop signs.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
This initiative is just getting started. I'm wondering, do you want to add a formal liaison to that group in 2024?
I think in 2024, the chair could appoint somebody to be the official delegate.
I think we should stay active in that.
Yeah. It's new to Pine County. Tried it about 10, 12 years ago, and I think they were getting off the ground, and then they got a new state coordinator, and then it I think we were trying to do a multi-county approach, and I don't think that worked so well. Soil and Water Conservation District,
Didn't make it.
Kettle River Policy Committee.
We didn't have a meeting because it's in that 60-day review.
Yep. Law Library.
We didn't have a meeting either. It's supposed to be the 21st and then, but I think they're gonna postpone it till January. So nothing.
Regional Development Commission.
That was last night. The audit was presented. Everything looked good as far as the audit. There's a vacancy on the Southern School District seat. And from what I read, and I brought the material with us, somebody wants to look at it. It's almost like there's one also on Knavic municipalities, Mille Lacs County Public Interest and Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe. I couldn't get clarification.
That are needed.
Yeah, it says it in one on the printed items. But then they just talked about the one. So I don't know if they're stressing more interest on the one. And they can still operate with a quorum and still operate without these three. But I brought the documents here in case anybody wants to look further. They had a little discussion through their audit on segregation of duties. I just thought that was interesting and the definition on that.
Did they talk, JJ, about that? I always have an issue with that in a small organization. Because everybody gets dinged on the segregation of duty.
They didn't on theirs.
Okay.
But then I guess I've heard of it before, but I just started diving into that, trying to read and understand, and I could see where it's hard to not
Yeah.
get dinged on a segregation of duties.
Clifton Larson Allen doing the audit.
Yes, I believe so. I got everything right here in case anybody wants to see. And with that, they didn't get dinged, or they called it a POP, was on the revolving loan fund. It's going good, and they're actually rated now at an A-. So that gives them a little more breathing room. The higher you're rated, the less they, will look at how you do things, the trust there. They talked about CEDS, Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy. There were cities listed there. I brought everything here in case you want to look like at the Hinkley one in Pine City and in your districts. Of course, I checked out that property in Bruno Vasco, so I looked at that. It was just some water main infrastructure, and then I represent Bruno, so they with their strategy, they did like a survey. So they said they, City of Bruno being they, are looking at some upgrades to City Hall and roads. I looked at Henriette just because it's a smaller community, similar to like Denham that I have out there. We're just looking at roads also, but if you weren't familiar at all with CEDF, or Dave probably was, and of course Leslie would be. It's the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy. We talked a little bit about the Rural Food Business Center update. It's like you're getting a lot of really good input from local providers and farmers. And then DOTS is destination transfer stations to try to organize transfer of passengers between public transit, within their boundaries. I think we have Arrowhead Transit, we have East Central Transit, we're looking at a train coming through here now. And everybody has their boundaries. So they're trying to figure out when a person needs to go from, let's say, St. Paul all the way to Duluth using different forms of transit. From what I understood, when they get to the edge of their boundary, they can't bring them any further. So instead of just rolling them on alongside the road and waiting for someone else to come pick them up, they're trying to coordinate better, which sounds great. Yeah.
I hope they can get that figured out. because
So do I. There's a need for
We have a big need, especially in our area, where we leave the Arrowhead region. And if a lot of people do doctoring south, and then there's no transportation for it.
That was the main one, was just something as simple as getting your eyes checked and a doctor's appointment that you need to go to this further specialized hospital. And the inability of travel. It's all out there. We have the services, but it just hasn't got coordinated yet of how to. I look at it as like transfer, and when you fly somewhere, you have a brief layover, you transfer to something else. How do we fix that? That's all I had on that.
The other,
Some others.
okay,
So NACO, the Finance, Pension and Intergovernmental Affairs Steering Committee, they said that it's all nationwide. So nationwide, health insurance is up 10 to 30%. So we did not do too bad. That made me feel pretty good. They do not believe that we're in a recession, that online is up over 7%, which the numbers that you sent for what we've gotten for sales tax show that, which it was. I mean, we've gotten a lot of extra money because people are shopping more.
I look at that
Yeah.
sales tax collection and it's like, wow.
It's crazy. They said trade schools are up, four-year colleges are going to be seeing a problem in the near future. Cash is king, which I think we all know that part. So yeah, that was that one. And then we had towards zero death. And then SHAC, I'm now on the membership committee for that, and they're working on keeping SHAC more alive and how we can build it to be better so that we can do better servicing with the state. So they had a mentorship program and they said that went well. We're going to be doing a thing on transportation. So I like your report because that's going to be coming up in April, and then in July, it's going to be on opioids. So those things are going on there. And then I've been really active in what's going on with the ICWA. I wouldn't say really active, but actively listening to what's going on with the ICWA. And I have the newest laws. If anybody does want to look at them, this is where it was as of yesterday, and that there's not more changes being made. But this was the one that we had to review for yesterday's meeting, and I have this if anybody wants to look and see what's happening there. And then I have one more other. Before, go ahead.
Just to split a hair on the sale of the local option
Yes.
sales tax. and the extra money, just to clarify,
It's not extra. I'm sorry.
the county only can collect up to $1 amount. And so in your capital improvement plan program, every dollar, so there's no extra, it's just, it might be collected faster or slower. So
Right.
just so nobody had.
It's going way faster
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
people are shopping. And that's what I probably
Yeah.
should have said. Yes, you're right.
Can we move a sunset then if we reach? Because we had a sunset on the original.
We did a couple of years ago. We bumped it
Yeah,
up.
so if we reach our dollar amount, it stops, right?
Yes, it's the earlier of the sunset date, or you collect the total amount. Thank you.
I have one more other.
Yep.
Mr. Hallen, would you please died? No. So you have been a really great year for 2023 and other. So I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for being a mentor also and a teacher and just for all of the work that you do here for the sport.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
You gotta hold up yours.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's a fancy one.
it's gold put in there, it's made out of, it's on sandstone.
You don't get a clock yet.
I do want to thank everybody. This will be my last meeting here as the chair. Especially thank Reese and David. Reese has to sit through all these meetings and sometimes I know they're boring, but we like boring. So thanks. Just it is so comforting to be able to turn over to Reese and say, what do you think? Or get a thumbs up for something. So, and David, thanks for getting our agendas out and making them understandable and helping us. We've struggled. Appreciate it and all the staff. Thanks to all the board members. With that, no other business. We'll declare the meeting adjourned. Merry Christmas to all.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.